Hello, my people. Good day to you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time zone you're listening to this, thank you for tuning in every single day to listen to me on Daily Mind Shift. My name is Michael Ojola for Mindset Transformation Africa. And on today's episode, I want us to look into how to prove our worth to ourselves. Let me anchor today's episode on this statement. Doing what you say you're going to do is the simplest way to prove your worth to yourself. Doing what you say you're going to do is the simplest way to prove your worth to yourself. So I welcome you back once again to Daily Mind Shift. It might sound basic, almost too simple, but let me tell you this. If you've ever struggled with self-doubt, lack of confidence, or that constant nagging feeling of not measuring up to a particular standard, social or personal, this particular concept will change everything for you. And it all starts with one simple shift in your mind and in your behavior, keeping your promises that you make to yourself. Keep the promises that you make to yourself. Let's talk about integrity for a while, but not in the way we often hear about it most times. When we think about integrity, we think about how we interact with other people. Are we trustworthy? Do we keep our words to other people? Are we reliable? But here is the thing. Personal integrity starts with the promises you make to yourself. And that is where so many of us stumble. We make promises to ourselves that we refuse to keep. Oh, I've been there. It's something that you go inside and outside over time before you learn how to always keep your promises to yourself. We make promises to ourselves all the time. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to get up early and work out tomorrow. I'll finally start the business this year. I will finish my book. I will do this. I will do that. But how many of those promises do we actually keep? The answer to that question is crucial. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, you are chipping away at your own sense of self-worth. Think about it. If someone else constantly let you down, if they said they are going to show up and they did not, or if they promised you something and they did not follow through, you would probably stop trusting them after a while. You stop relying on them because their word will mean nothing. Now, apply that to the relationship you have with yourself. When you repeatedly break promises to yourself, you subconsciously stop trusting your own word. And that is a dangerous place to be because your self-worth is directly tied to your ability to rely on yourself. Here's a truth that I know can be hard to accept sometimes. No one can give you a sense of self-worth. Not the way they treat you, not what they say to you. No one can give you a sense of self-worth. It does not come from other people's approval. No, it does not come from their recognition or their praise. It comes from within you. It comes from you. All right? And one of the most direct ways to build that sense of worth is by doing exactly what you say you're going to do, most especially when no one is watching. When you set a goal, when you have a task, or even a small action for yourself, and then you follow through on it, you are essentially telling yourself that I am someone I can count on. I am reliable. I respect myself enough to honor my word to myself. On the flip side, when you fail to follow through on those commitments, even in small ways, you send yourself the opposite message. I cannot trust myself. My word doesn't matter. And over time, this internal dialogue becomes the foundation of how you see yourself. It either builds confidence or self-worth, or it erodes it. This is it. The good news is no matter where you are right now, you can start to rebuild. All right? It is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. Do you understand me? I just said you will fail. Sometimes you say you will work out, you won't. I think last week I've said I will start workout again because I was tired on my body. I will start. I did not start. You will fail. But can you be consistent? Can you be consistent? Can you, all right, pick yourself up when you fail and then start over? And I think it's when you overstretch your promises, when you promise yourself too grand of a thing, you will fail. Do not promise yourself beyond your capacity. When you know your capacity, just push the boundary a little bit further so that you will be able to stretch yourself. So I will encourage you, start small, start simple, but most importantly, start today. See, every time you follow through on a commitment that you've made to yourself, you reinforce a positive feedback loop in your brain. Your brain loves pattern. Your brain loves pattern. It loves recognizing that action leads to reward. So when you do what you say you're going to do, your brain releases a small surge of dopamine, that feel-good chemical. And it's not just about the feeling accomplished, all right? It's literally rewiring your brain to associate following through with pleasure and success. And when you don't follow through, your brain starts associating failure and disappointment and frustration with your own efforts. That is why breaking promises to yourself feels so demoralizing. Because over time, if you have made this a habit, if you have the habit of not following through, your brain starts to accept that not following through is your default mode. Your brain starts expecting failure. You start to expect failure. That is why it's very crucial to start with small promises, the ones you can keep, the ones you know you can keep. If you've been in a rut of not keeping promises to yourself for a while, don't overwhelm yourself with a huge goal right away. No. Set a small achievable task and follow through, and let that success build momentum in you. Success breeds more success, all right? And the more you prove to yourself that you can be trusted, the more your self-worth also grows. See, a lot of people get it wrong this way. They think that building self-worth requires huge, life-changing actions. They think they need to hit major milestones or accomplish massive goals to feel good about themselves. But that is not how it works. Real lasting self-worth is built through small, consistent wins. You need to think about it like building a house. You don't just snap your fingers and then the house appears. No, you lay it one brick at a time. Brick by brick you build. Each brick might not seem like much on its own, but over time, they add up to something solid. They add up to something real. The same is true with self-worth. Every small promise that you keep to yourself is a brick in the foundation of your confidence. It is a proof that you are someone worth trusting. Let's say you decide to start walking for 10 minutes every morning. That is not huge. That is not daunting. It is simple and manageable. But every time you get up and you actually do it, you are reinforcing that idea that you can trust yourself. And as that trust builds, so does your self-worth. It is the small wins that compounds over time. It is the daily habits, the little actions that create the big shifts in how we see ourselves. Also, when you now break a promise to yourself, there is disappointment. You feel a little let down, maybe frustrated. But if this happens repeatedly, that disappointment turns into something much more damaging. You start doubting yourself. You start to question your abilities, your discipline, your worth. Every broken promise is like a crack in your self-esteem. And over time, those cracks can become very deep. Here's the worst part. The more you break promises to yourself, the more you normalize that behavior. You start to explain and expect failure. You start to expect that you won't follow through. And this creates a cycle where your self-worth becomes so low that you stop setting goals altogether, because deep down you don't believe you're capable of achieving them. This is what it does to you. Breaking promises to yourself doesn't just impact your self-worth, it impacts your entire mindset. It conditions you to expect disappointment, and that is a dangerous place to be. So, how do you start rebuilding trust in yourself? The first step is to forgive yourself. All right, just forgive yourself. And also start small. Don't set yourself up for failure by creating unrealistic goals. Start small. And then when you've chosen your small goal, just make sure you do it. Don't overthink it. Do it. Take action. Do not negotiate with yourself. Just do it. So let me leave you with this today. Doing what you say you are going to do is the simplest yet most profound way to prove your worth to yourself. So go today and keep your promise to yourself. Go today and do whatever you say you're going to do. Thank you, and I will talk.